Sawubona mngani, welcome back to Zulu Lessons with Thando, the place for modern conversational Zulu language lessons. Mngani, I have a song for you. The song is Izulu Ikhaya Lami by Sbu Noah. So yes, it's not his song originally, it's a hymn, an old hymn. And he sings it beautifully. I have the link to the song in the description box and the first comment. And also, you can find this song on streaming platforms as well. He is a wonderful musician. Now, the song that I am sharing with you, I'm going to tell you to translate the song to you. And then I am also going to then work into the grammar that we find in the song. The reason I'm doing this is so that you have songs that are in isiZulu that you can be singing. And whilst you are singing them, you then practice speaking isiZulu. Because as you keep singing and singing the song and it becomes familiar to you, then those words will roll off so much easier off your tongue. And so sentences that are structured the same would also then be a bit easier. Also, you get to acquire more vocabulary, which is something very important that a teacher cannot do for you. You've got to be going out there and getting this vocabulary, falling in love with your dictionary and acquiring as much vocabulary and then also learning how to use it. So here we are. And then also, what I love about music is it gives you a little glimpse of the culture of the language that you are learning. So here is a Christian song or a gospel song, if you like. And so AmaZulu and people who speak isiZulu, there is a huge gospel and Christian membership of AmaZulu, let me put it that way. And so that culture, I believe, would then be interesting to one who is learning to speak isiZulu. Of course, it's not only Christian songs that I do pretty much every kind of music, but it is then going to then give you that bit of a glimpse into the culture. And then another thing that I like about music, Christian music that is, that songs tend to be shorter and you get this repetition of the verses over and over and over. That's good for someone who is learning how to speak the language because you want to get to a point where you are comfortable speaking those words. And so this is it. So let's get started. And also, please do subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. And like the video. Actually, like it now, even before we get on with the song. So, the song goes like this. I will read each line in isiZulu and each line in isiNgisi, in English. Now, one beautiful thing I like about Sbu Noah's songs is he always, when they post a song, I don't know if it's him or one of his team, when they post a song on YouTube, they also post in the comments, they post the translation, so the lyrics and the translation of the song. How beautiful is that? You have no idea how much Nigerian, Malawian, Zambian, Ghanaian music I listen to, and I'm like, you should know the words. So that is so helpful. So you can actually do that. Go just search him on YouTube and then scroll down the comments and you'll find one of them from him where he has posted the lyrics and the translation to English of the song. So here we go. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. That is Heaven is my home. Kulapho sophumula khona. Kulapho sophumula khona. Where we shall rest. Ngiyalangazelela. Ngiyalangazelela. How I long. Ukufika khona le. Ukufika khona le. To reach over there. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Heaven is my home. Kulapho sophumula khona, where we shall rest. Noma siyahlushwa. Noma siyahlushwa. Though we are troubled. Noma sidelelwa. Noma sidelelwa. Though we are disrespected. Kodwa liyeza. But it is coming. Kodwa liyeza. Ilanga lethu. Ilanga lethu. Our day is coming. Kodwa liyeza ilanga lethu. Nantiyana. Nantiyana. Silibona. Silibona. There it is, we can see it. Ngamehlo enhliziyo. Ngamehlo enhliziyo. With the eyes of the heart. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Kulapho sophumula khona. Then he has also just put in those little words that he says here and there as the lead singer of the song, where he says, Lalela umzuzwana nje. Lalela umzuzwana nje. So listen for a little bit. Isikhashana sihlupheka nje. Isikhashana sihlupheka nje. So just a little time or just a little while we are troubled or bothered. Isikhashana sidelelwa. Just a little bit of time as we are being disrespected. So those words will make sense where they go as you understand what the song is saying or is about. So anyway, let's now get started with the grammar so that we can understand these words much, much better.
Mngani, I can improve your language skills in isiZulu, but one thing I cannot do is improve this channel without your help. Please subscribe.
So now with the grammar now of the song. We'll start with the first line and we'll go word by word. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Heaven is my home. Izulu is a noun, which is heaven. It's very, very important to have the prefix I before the root of the word, as without it, you would not know at all what is being spoken of, since so many other words have the word Zulu in them. And as you know, that the language I speak and teach is isiZulu. How else will you be able to tell which Zulu someone is speaking of if there was no prefix? Prefixes are very, very important. That is also where we see whether one is speaking of one thing or person or many things or people. One heaven or many heavens. Izulu is one heaven. It's a singular plus 3 noun. And amazulu are many heavens. But then, AmaZulu are also the plural of the people of the nation of Uzulu. So, but hang in there with me. isiZulu, with that prefix, ISI, isiZulu, it's my language. The language that I speak, the language that I teach. KwaZulu, KWA, is the home and land of my people. With the plural word, AmaZulu, that I said is many heavens, one needs to know the backstory. So you need to have context. What is being spoken of? Is the speaker talking about many people who belong to the nation, Zulu nation, AmaZulu? Or is the speaker speaking of the heavens, AmaZulu? Context is important there. So the next word is Ikhaya. Ikhaya. That is home. It's a noun and it is a home. It is a singular class 3 noun. Now, look at the following words. Umuntu, a person. Umkhohlisi, a deceiver. Umculi, a singer. Isigebengu, a criminal. President, a president. Note that a president in isiZulu is umengameli. I chose to use the word president on purpose. Anyway, now look at the following words and pay attention how the words you just heard are used in these sentences. Ukhethiwe umuntu. Ukhethiwe umuntu. Khethiwe is a person. Usathane umkhohlisi. Usathane umkhohlisi. Satan is a deceiver. Usbu umculi. Usbu umculi. Sbu is a singer. UJudas yisigebengu. UJudas yisigebengu. Judas is a criminal. uRamaphosa yi-president yase-South Africa. uRamaphosa yi-president yase-South Africa. Ramaphosa is the president of South Africa. You can say uRamaphosa umongameli wase-South Africa. But we're using the first one. In the first part, I told you a few words, nouns. They start with their prefixes I, and isi. And so when you translate those to English, you will use a, n, and the. Then on the second part, I gave you a few short sentences. We are using the very same nouns I've given you before, but this time they have an additional letter at the beginning of the word. Yes, they are still a person, a deceiver, a president, a singer, a criminal. However, this additional letter changes this slightly. The sentence now has is between the subject and the object of the sentence. So the sentences are now saying, Khethiwe is a person. Satan is a deceiver. Sbu is a singer. Judas is a criminal. Ramaphosa is a president. These are called amabizo muntu in isiZulu. Let me say that word again. Amabizo muntu. We are calling the person, the human, whatever that noun is. So here's an ugly example of this. You can say someone is a dog like this. Usathane yinja. Satan is a dog. Do you see what I did to the word dog, inja? I put in a Y before it. And that Y is the one that changes the sentence to say, is a dog. Otherwise, it can look, if we are being rigid, being stiff, we could say it's only saying Satan, dog. However, in spoken language, people do omit that Y and that W. So when we are seeing here, our song says, Izulu Ikhaya. It's saying heaven is home. So Izulu Ikhaya Lami, heaven is my home. Now let's look a little bit more. We can also take this further and put the subject concord, the pronoun, before the noun. Now look at this. Ukhethiwe uwumuntu. Khethiwe is a person. Uwumuntu. Usathane uwumkhohlisi. Satan is a deceiver. Usathane uwumkhohlisi. Usbu uwumculi. Usbu uwumculi. Sbu is a singer. UJudas uyisigebengu. UJudas uyisigebengu. Judas is a criminal. You can also say a thief, by the way, the word is giving. uRamaphosa uyi-president yase-South Africa. uRamaphosa uyi-president yase-South Africa. So Ramaphosa is the president of South Africa. Still has the very same meaning. There is a very common saying that we use in isiZulu for a blunt knife. Lo mmese uwumuntu. Lo mmese uwumuntu. This knife is a person, meaning it is blunt. You cannot cut with it. As you, of course, know that you cannot use a human being to cut anything, unless you can prove me wrong. Please don't prove me wrong, I don't want to see. Anyway, so when we say Izulu Ikhaya Lami, heaven is my home. If you want to be, let's say, grammatically correct about this and wanting to write, preparing for a test or an exam, it's better to say Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Izulu Ikhaya Lami, heaven is my home. Uwumuntu is ibizo muntu. And so Sbu in this song is saying heaven is home to him. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. The last word on that line is Lami. And thus you see the very next word being Lami. That is a possessive pronoun. It tells us who the owner of the noun is. So in this case, the home that is being spoken of. In English, possessive pronouns come before the noun itself. In isiZulu, possessive pronouns come after the noun. So as all the words that describe a noun, they come after said noun. In English, the statement is, heaven is my home. The possessive here is my. In isiZulu, the possessive has two syllables, two parts. The first syllable represents the noun, the thing that is being owned. The second syllable represents the owner, and hence we have Ikhaya Lami. That la, L-A, is connected to Ikhaya, the noun, home. The mi, the M-I, is connected to the singer, he is saying my home. It is his home. I've shared a few lessons on possessive pronouns in the past. I will post the link in the description box. Looking at the chart of possessive pronouns on your screen, you can see how the first part is all the same for each noun, and the only part that changes is who the owner is. The same is true when the owner is the same, say one person. The second part of the possessive pronoun will then remain the same throughout the list of items that that person owns. Look at this chart. The item that is owned here is the child. Okay, you wouldn't say that in normal conversation that you own the child, but bear with me here. The child belongs to me, my child. The child belongs to you, your child. See that the second syllable of the possessive pronoun keeps changing. The only thing or part that stays the same is the first syllable. It's just wa, right through. That is because for words that start with the prefix and umu, their prefix or possessive prefix is wa. Those words and umu are found in class 1 and class 2, singular words. So if something belongs to me, the second syllable of the possessive pronoun will always be me, mi. And no, it's not connected to English. Just because I'm saying me in English and then I'm saying me in isiZulu, they're not connected at all. It just happens to be the same or sound the same. If something belongs to you, the second syllable of the possessive pronoun will always be ko, because that's you, and so on. Now, say we wanted to say heaven is Sbu Noah's home. So now we're not saying heaven is his home. We want to say heaven is Sbu Noah's home. We would have to use his name in the second syllable of the possessive pronoun. And so it would look like this. Izulu Ikhaya Sbu Noah. Izulu Ikhaya Sbu Noah. We can now rewrite the first line with the grammar learned just now. Izulu Ikhaya Sbu Noah. Heaven is Sbu Noah's home. Izulu Likhaya Sbu Noah. Still the same. Heaven is Sbu Noah's home. In spoken language, you just won't hear that li. You'll hear Izulu Ikhaya Sbu Noah or Izulu Ikhaya Sbu Noah. The next line is kulapho sophumula khona, where we shall rest. The first word here is a conjunction meaning it is where. Without the ku, it is simply where. That's all. Moving on. The second word, sophumula. The second word in this line has what we call an elision, where we drop some of the letters of a phrase. The complete phrase here would be siyophumula. Siyophumula. That yo article between the pronoun si and the verb phumula is signifying something that will happen in the distant future. Phumula is a verb meaning to rest. So even if I'm saying I am going to rest now, ngizophumula manje. We can then say that this line says we shall rest, as in one day we shall rest. There is a song titled Sophumelela that features Mampintsha and Drama Drizzy. I'm specifically mentioning this song because they don't only say Sophumelela, but they also say Siyophumelela in their song. Phumelela is a verb meaning to succeed. You could then say, we shall succeed, if you hear Siyophumelela or Sophumelela. One day we shall succeed. The last word on that second line is khona, khona, kulapho sophumula khona. That last word is a locative. It is simply there in English, there. Listen to these few questions. Ukhona umama? Is mom there? We could also ask this question like this. Ukhona lapho umama? Ukhona lapho umama? Is mom over there? So that is how we use khona, as in there. The next line is ngiyalangazelela, ngiyalangazelela. How I long is how Sbu Noah himself translated this. Langazelela is a verb meaning to yearn for something. The sentence is simple, actually. It's in the simple present tense. Once you know what the verb means, it is in the simple present tense. I long for, I yearn for. Let us hear on the next line what Sbu Noah is yearning for or longing for. Ukufika khona le. Ukufika khona le. To reach over there. The word, that first word here is ukufika, which is an infinite form of the verb fika. Fika, the verb, means to arrive. However, you can also say to get to a place. Ukufika is a verbal noun, so a class 8 noun, which is arriving. So, ukufika khona is arriving there or getting there. Now we've got the last bit of that line, and it says le, just L-E, le. You hear how I'm pronouncing it? I'm not saying le. It's a bit higher pitched. Le. We've spoken of corner, so you know that already. That is there. The last part, le, is a locative pronoun. It is a word that is used to express the distance of something or someone from the speaker. In English, there is this, that, these, those. This is telling us that the place that Sbu Noah speaks of is way over there. Le. La is here. La. But over there, le. Now, we know what Sbu is longing for. He is longing to get there in heaven, his home. This is followed by this line. Izulu Ikhaya Lami. Heaven is my home, which we've covered already. Kulapho sophumula khona, where we shall rest. We've covered that already. The second verse has two verbs that use the same verb extension, wa, a W-A. That is impambosi yokwenziwa in isiZulu. It changes the verb to have a passive meaning, telling of an action that is being done to the subject. The first one is siyahlushwa, siyahlushwa. The line is noma siyahlushwa, noma siyahlushwa, which is translated to though we are troubled. You can also say though we are being bothered. The word noma has more than one use. It can mean or, either or, even though, and although. The next word is siyahlutshwa. The root verb that it comes from is to trouble another. So, uyahlupha, you are troublesome. Uyahlupha. But now we are changing this word. When we add the verbal extension WA, so impambo siyokwenziwa, to a verb that ends with the syllable PH, hlupha, PH. It changes that last syllable to an SHW sound. Sh, sh. And so the verb is now hlushwa, from hlupha to hlushwa. Hlushwa is a passive verb, meaning to be troubled by another or something, to be troubled. Noma siyahlushwa is then, even if we are being troubled, though we are troubled. Then the next line says, noma sitelelwa. Noma sitelelwa, which Sbu has kindly translated for us, though we are disrespected. Telela, the verb, to be rude, to show disrespect, is what it means. Actually, there is once in Parliament, this is South African Parliament, where Member of Parliament Julius Malema, who is the leader of one of the opposing parties, he was speaking, and then the former president, who was still president at the time, former President Jacob Zuma, then Malema was speaking, and then he said something, let's say, out of turn. Then former President Jacob Zuma says, "We are delela when I'm fine." And then Julius Malema says, "Delela, delela, you can't tell people that baya delela. This is not your house, you know." So the president was saying to him, "You are rude, you are disrespectful." And so Julius Malema was saying, "You can't be telling members of parliament that they are being disrespectful to you. This is not your house. You are not our father," you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm just hoping that you are getting an example of using telela. So adding a wa extension changes the meaning of this verb now to being the subject of the sentence who is being disrespected. Telelwa. So we could say that President Zuma felt that he was being delelwad by Malema, right? Okay, delelwad. Anyway, even though we are being disrespected, even if we are being disrespected, is what this sentence is saying. Then the song goes on and says, "Kodwa liyeza, kodwa liyeza," but it is coming. Kodwa is a conjunction, which is but and also however. I also use it, you know, that same word, kodwa, to mean though in English. For example, kodwa uDavide usengaze amenze kanjena uUriya. How? You see, like, but David, though, that he would play Uriah like that, you know? Anyway. However, kodwa has other uses. Listen to these examples. Fine, I've said mine. Kodwa uDavide usengaze amenze kanje uUriya. How? Now listen to this one. Ngizobukela i-concert yaSbu Noah kwi-TV. Kodwa bengifisa ukuyombona khona eSun City. Ngizobukela i-concert yaSbu Noah kwi-TV. Kodwa bengifisa ukuyombona khona eSun City. I will watch Sbu Noah's concert on TV, but kodwa I was wishing to go see him in Sun City, or I was wishing to go see him there in Sun City. So if you heard there, I said kodwa, but we do tend to say this when we are speaking isiZulu, that we could say but kodwa, as in use both but and kodwa. And this we do also with the conjunction and. One of the words and in isiZulu is futhi. Then we say and futhi, and then say whatever it is that you're saying. So anyway, we'll get there one day. The next word here on this line is lieza. Kodwa lieza. Za is a verb to come. Kodwa lieza, but it is coming. That li is telling us that whatever it is that is being spoken of here is a singular plus 3 noun, li. Let's hear in the next line what that li is. Ilanga lethu. Ilanga lethu. Our day is what's coming. Ilanga is a class 3 singular noun. The plural of it is amalanga, days, suns. The last word here is lethu. Ilanga lethu. This is a possessive pronoun. This one is going to be much easier to understand since it also happens to be a class 3 noun like Izulu and Ikhaya that we saw earlier with those charts that I showed you earlier. The possessive prefix for singular class 3 nouns is la. Always la. However, we don't see that la, the L-A. We see the letter E there. That is because the suffix for hours, whatever it is itu, I-T-H-U, which gives us this, the la and itu. But in isiZulu, we cannot have two vowels right next to each other. And so we have blended those two vowels, the A and the I, together. And blending an A and an I gives us the letter E. E. So, our is lethu. Our day is ilanga lethu. So, then he continues, he says, kodwa lieza ilanga lethu. And then the next word, the next line is, or rather verse, is nantiyana silibona. Nantiyana silibona. Let's start with that word, nantiyana. It's a demonstrative word, meaning there it is. It is not something you will normally hear or encounter in books. In books, they usually use or prefer the demonstratives like la, la, pa, la, pa, ya. However, this one is used quite a lot in spoken language. You can also drop that last syllable, na. So instead of saying nantiyana, you can then say nantiya, just like la, pa, ya, that they like to write in books. You can actually say la payana, just like you can say la pa and la pana. You can say la and lana. So let's look at a few examples here for different nouns to see how we can say nantiyana or use that same type of demonstrative. We'll start with class 1 and 1A. I've blended these two together because everything about them is the same. The grammar about them is the same, except that the nouns themselves start with different prefixes in class 1A and class 1A. So our noun here is umshumayeli. Umshumayeli is an evangelist or a preacher. Nanguya umshumayeli. Nanguya umshumayeli. So for a class 1 singular noun, we say ngu. Nanguya. Just like we can say ngumshumayeli, it's the preacher. Whereas in spoken language, we would say umshumayeli. Class 2 singular. These are all going to be singular, by the way, the examples. But in the notes that you can get when you sign up for my mailing list on my website, the notes that you'll get via email will have both the singular and the plural examples. So the second noun here is in class 2. It is umphakathi. Umphakathi. Umphakathi is a community. Now we are umphakathi. Now we are umphakathi. That represents umphakathi. Class 3, singular. IBhayibheli, a Bible. IBhayibheli. Naliya iBhayibheli. Naliya. Do you hear that li, the same li that is the object concord, the subject concord in this class? Class 4, isikhulumi. Isikhulumi. Isikhulumi is a speaker. So, nasiya isikhulumi. Nasiya isikhulumi. There is the speaker. Class 5, inyanga. Inyanga is a moon. Inyanga is also a traditional healer. But we are not talking about a divine divine healer. We are not talking about isango. We are talking about here a herbalist. So someone who doesn't necessarily see what ails you. You have to tell them what ails you, and then they give you that traditional medicine that will then heal or take care of that ailment. So 2, the moon and a healer, a traditional healer or herbalist. Inyanga. Nayiya inyanga. Nayiya inyanga. There is the moon. And there is the herbalist. And then, of course, I just want to add here, because I know we are on the internet, and so everyone and anyone can see this video. And so a person who is not Zulu or who does not have the same views may say, oh, you are wrong. Inyanga also has some divination gifts as well. That's yours. That's yours. I'll leave it with you. I'm not going to argue it. Anyway, class 6. Our example is usana. Usana is a small baby, like a newborn baby. Usana. Naluya. Usana. Naluya. There is the baby. For class 7, ubuciko. Ubuciko is a skill. Now, nabuya ubuciko. Nabuya ubuciko. There is the skill. Nabuya ubuciko ubudingayo. There is the skill you need. Class 8, the word we have there is ukuthokoza. Ukuthokoza is, let's say, joy and happiness. We could also say rejoicing. And then our example here is that nakuya ukuthokoza. Nakuya ukuthokoza. There is joy. There is happiness. So, nantiyana silibona. Nantiyana silibona. Now, let's see what else he's saying about nantiyana silibona in this verse. He then says, ngamehlo enhliziyo. I love this one. Ngamehlo enhliziyo. With the eyes of the heart. The article nga has a few uses in isiZulu. We use nga to tell time, as in on Monday, ngomsombuluko, which is made up together of nga and the word umsombuluko, Monday. And then we also can tell time by saying at 4 o'clock, for example, at 4 p.m. Ngo 4 ntambama. That's nga together with u4. We can also use the same article, nga, to tell what you are using to perform whatever task you are performing. For example, if you're cooking with the pot, you could say, ngipheka ngebhodwe. Ngipheka ngebhodwe. That nge is made up of that article, nga, and the pot itself, ibhodwe. If you are learning about a specific subject, you can then say, ngifunda ngogesi. I'm learning about electricity. You see, ngogesi, that's nga and ugesi. In this line, nga is used together with a noun that starts with an A, amehlo. And so when those two A's are blended together, they don't change. They remain or they become an A. Ngamehlo. You can also use this article to talk about what mode of transport you are using, which is almost the same as the previous example. Look at this one. Ngizofika ngebhanoyi. Ngizofika ngebhanoyi. I will arrive by airplane. We have, of course, blended all those vowels together here. I have put together all the notes connected to this lesson. You can get them when you click the link in the description box or the pinned comment to sign up to my mailing list. I will not send you nonsense emails, I promise. Also, save my email address so that the lessons I send you don't go to your spam folder and then you don't receive them. So the song then continues and repeats the same thing we've already heard that we now know. Izulu Ikhaya Lami, heaven is my home. Kulapho sophumula khona, where we shall rest. And then Sbu then throws in these words here and there. This line, it's in a way of, it's like he's encouraging the listener of the song. He says, lalela umzuzwana nje. Lalela is to listen, to verb. A verb used on its own like this, with no pronoun before it, is an instruction, a command. Here, the singer is telling us to listen. Because the very next word starts with a vowel, you can then drop the last vowel of the first word. But you can't do that with the ones where we were talking about the demonstrative na and iya, na buya, na buya. That one you cannot drop that last vowel of the demonstrative. So instead of lalela umzuzwana, you will then hear lalela umzuzwana, lalela umzuzwana. Do you hear it sounds like one word? Now the last bit of it there is nje, that comes after umzuzwana, is simply nje. Now let's go through all of them. We've said lalela is listen, it's a verb. Umzuzwana comes from the word umzuzu, which is a noun. Umzuzu. Umzuzu is a minute. You could also, in a way, say a moment. Umzuzwana is a diminutive of umzuzu. So here is umzuzu, here is umzuzwana. A diminutive is when we take a word of something and make it smaller. For example, we say umuntu is a person. Umntwana is a child. So, like saying a small person. Not a small person as in a person who is short. No, but rather a child. We add the suffix ana, A-N-A, ana, at the end of the word when we make it smaller. Adding this ana changes some words a bit. Like the word umntwana. If we add ana at the end of it, we would have umuntuana. So we separate those two vowels with the vowel sound w, umntwana. So for this example of ours, umuntu, we then change that u and say umntwana. Umzuzwana is a second, a short moment. And then that very last bit, nje. It simply means just, or simply, or merely. Just those three. And so, lalela umzuzwana nje, or lalela umzuzwana nje, is listen for just a second. It's like he is pleading with you. Just listen. Hang on. I know life is hard. I know you've got challenges and you just cannot wait to leave this earth. And you're just thinking, God, please, I cannot go through this again. Just listen a little bit. We've got our home in heaven. We will go there one day. You know, so just a little bit, just a sec, listen. And then he says, Iskashana sihlupheka nje. Iskashana, that word, is coming from the noun isikhathi, which is time. Isikashana is a short time. It's also a diminutive, just like the one we come from, umzuzwana. When changing a word whose last syllable is the sound th, we then change that syllable to an sh sound. Then we add our ana at the end. And then now it's a smaller thing than what you were saying. So time, and now a little bit of time. The very last sentence has parts of what we have gone through already. Iskashana stelelwa. A short time while we are being disrespected here on earth. And that is the end of this short and beautiful hymn. You can find it on YouTube. I've posted the link below for you. And you can find it on other music streaming platforms. Please buy it and listen to it and learn the lyrics and sing along and practice speaking isiZulu. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. It does help to tell YouTube that yes, people actually are interested in learning isiZulu. And so then they will then show my videos to more and more people. And also, click like, because I'm sure you did like the video, didn't you? Ngiyabonga mngani, sala kahle.